All right, so now I'm back with another Aeropress recipe. So obviously we love this and it's getting the hotter months here, so we're not really doing a bunch of bulk hot coffee, mainly just one-offs whenever people come in. But I did come across an easier way to make Aeropress coffee. The recipe is a little bit simpler, and I really enjoyed it actually. As well, I actually found this really cool app. Help you with your ratios, and the ratios can be a little intimidating at first and kind of trying to remember them and get your calculator and all this stuff. But a lot of times when we brew pour over, we brew with like a 17-to-1 ratio. And so actually the app is pretty simple. You'll put your ratio up in here, and then you'll put how much coffee you're gonna use, and it automatically spits out the water, and you're good. You don't have to think about it too much. So for this one, we're gonna do 11 grams of coffee with a 200 gram water usage. The ratio is about 17-to-1. But for this one, what makes it a lot simpler is, I'm actually not the originator of this recipe. It's actually from James Hoffman. He did a lot of testing, and I've even done testing myself and found that rinsing the filter doesn't really do anything to the flavor. So we're not gonna rinse the filter today, make it a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier to make coffee for the times that you don't have an extra vessel to put that rinsed water in. And so here, I'm actually not gonna do inverted. Usually I'm really used to doing inverted myself, but I know there's not too much of a flavor difference. But let's go ahead, get my scale ready, and then we're gonna do 11 grams of coffee. So I've already ground it here. Now it's pretty fine, almost close to espresso. Definitely finer than I would do a pour over, that's for sure. All right, there we go. Okay, so we got 11 grams in, and now we got our water heated to about 195 degrees. And remember, we're gonna use 200 grams of water. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour about 100. And you don't have to use like a coffee kettle for this. You can use a pot, or if you boiled water or something like that. Water temperature isn't too crazy on this one. Maybe if you boil it, let it sit for maybe about a minute or so. And then we're here, we'll give it a little swirl. And a lot of times I actually like to swirl my Aeropress because I just don't like having more things to rinse, right? The goal here is to make this thing as simple as possible. So you're about 100 grams in, and we're gonna go ahead and do the rest because we wanna let this thing sit for about 2 minutes. Now, if you do let it sit for longer, it's not gonna hurt the coffee. After about 2 minutes, pretty much the amount of time it's brewing to about how much better it tastes isn't really worth it. So 2 minutes is a sweet spot. Now from here, we wanna make sure we put this on top, seal it off so it doesn't go dripping into the cup. But we're already about a minute in, so we're gonna do 1 more minute. Okay, so 2 minutes is up. Now it's time to start pressing, and you wanna press gently. Don't go forcing it down, because if you do that, it's not gonna taste very good. So just a nice gentle press is all you need. And I press through the hissing. You can do that too. Again, no real taste difference. Some people in recipes will say don't do it, some will do it. Honestly, it's personal preference. I don't ever notice taste difference whenever I press all the way through or hold it back. And there we are. Now we got a nice simple cup of coffee. All you need to do is go ahead and clean this up by throwing the puck out into the trash, a coffee knocker if you have one, but don't worry if you don't. Now for this brew method, I did use a light roasted coffee because it's actually our blend, so it's more light to medium roasted. If you do use a dark roast, you might want to grind a little bit coarser and not get too much extraction out of it. Personally, I don't like really high extraction dark roasts. I tend to favor light or medium roast more, just get a little bit more sweetness out of them. But if you're a dark roast person, then you can make some little adjustments as well. But okay, so now this is like one of my 2 favorite recipes. So I think I've kind of leaning on this one more often. Another one I like can burn through coffee pretty quick. It uses more like 32 grams of coffee. But that one tends to feel more like an Americano. So it feels more like a regular cup of coffee to maybe start the morning off with. But give it a shot. Let us know what you think. We're gonna be serving this here now as our main recipe for a single cup of coffee. But all right guys, so nice short and sweet one about the Aeropress, one of our favorite ways of making coffee at home or on the go. I've taken it to the ranch with me before too. Like, subscribe, and then I'll see you on the next one. It's a pretty good cup of coffee. Let me stop it.